Hello and welcome. My name is Parker Williams, and today I'll be presenting my online Algebra 1 course focused on solving two-step equations and going over everything else that is involved in this final presentation for FRIT 7235. So this course focuses on helping students build problem-solving skills through solving two-step equations. The goal is to create a structured and interactive online environment where students can learn, practice, and apply their knowledge in meaningful ways. I will go over that. I will also show you the technology information that is involved in my class. I'll go over the 12 principles used, and then kind of just wrap it all up and make it easy for everybody. All right, so let's go to my Canvas class. So this is my Canvas class. So this course has been organized into two modules that is structured for student success. So in Unit 0, this is the unit that we use to introduce two-step equations. So what happens is during this time, our students will be given a blank copy of notes. And as you can see as it's loading in, the students will be given each page for each day. So they'll get an entire packet's worth of notes, and they will go through and fill this out step by step as we go through and complete it as well. Each student will then be given an opportunity to go through and do some practice. So each day we have each day's notes on here, and at the end of each day, what we do is we take part of the notes that we covered that day, completely filled out and posted onto the Canvas so that each student can have the opportunity to fill in the notes if they weren't here or if they just missed something while in the middle of class. Another thing that we do is we will have quizzes and a Padlet interactive board. So the solving two-step equations quiz is something that will be assigned and given through the Canvas, section for each quiz that we do. And so this takes us to a quizzes, or really it's Wayground now. It's about a 20-question quiz, and they can do it as many times as they want. The goal for this is to try to make sure that the students have a clear understanding of what to do in each of their classes, and to make sure that that they can really hound on the foundational stuff. And we can use this data after we're done with this to target any areas that seem to have been an issue with the students. So there can be some students that really understand how to do one problem, but a bunch of the students don't understand how to do any of the others. So we find this very helpful in what we use for the class and how we do everything for data information as well. We will also use an interactive board, and so we will use a prompting question. And for example, how can solving two-step equations help you make better decisions in real-life situation? And so I've gone ahead and put in what I would kind of help give the kids an idea on what to do and how to complete the assignment. And so each kid can come in and make their post, and they can see what each other is saying and understand, hey, like, I never thought of it like this, or the students might be able to understand it better hearing it from somebody else. So we feel like this is a great way to further engage students into the lessons that we use. We will also have homework, and so each week they will be given a week's homework page. And so they will take this homework as a handout that we give every day, or every week, and they have until the end of the week to turn this in. So they can come and ask us questions of, hey, I really don't understand how to solve for P in this equation, or I don't know how to simplify this equation right here. And this allows them to come ask us questions to understand what to do better. And they also are able to get it reviewed and looked at by one of the teachers in the classroom, to just make sure that they're on the right path, and just to see like, hey, are there any questions on this sheet that we need to look at again before we turn it in for a grade. And at the end of each week, or after the week is ended and they turn it in, we will then grade it and hand it back to them for them to review before going into the test that we use. We also have some discussion posts in here so they can go in and talk about two-step equations. So we would prompt them and be like, hey, I want you to go into the discussion post and write out, for example, like what during your week 1 homework assignment, which of the problems did you have struggles with? What can you help your classmates with? And it's just kind of like an open forum to kind of help the students understand maybe differently from hearing it from their buddies rather than one of the teachers in the classroom. So they can do that there. And there's also an introduction post when they first get into class. It's a really get to know you type thing. So they might have buddies in the class that they never even knew was going to be in the class, or they might find a new friend or a new possible relationship interest from that person. So there's a lot of different opportunities with this for students to engage with each other and to go over and meet new people. Other things that we will use in this or not really module, but what we'll use is that we will also use different resources to kind of go over what we can use technology-wise. So we have the core syllabus in here. We have the announcements in here that have helpful links. So students can come in and they can use this Delta Math link, which is just additional math practice for all of Algebra 1. They can use the formula sheet, which they can use on every test, and what they will use on the EOC final, which is what every Algebra 1 student will take in the state of Georgia at the end of their freshman year. And it also gives them to their Desmos calculator, which they can use on all of their tests and everything for the EOC as well. This is a very high useful tool that we stress in our class all the time, and they can write the equation over here, it'll graph it for them, and they can make tables and graphs and everything along those lines to really help them get an idea of what exactly they can do. So now I'm just going to kind of go over the Mayor's 12 principles that I've kind of done during this whole process. So there's coherence, which is I removed any unnecessary content for the students. I signaled and highlighted key information when going through the guided notes, the redundancy. I avoided duplicating the text and narration. Spatial continuity. I placed text in easy to read areas on those homework assignments and the notes that were given. Temporal continuity, present words and visuals together. So like we will put the notes up onto a PowerPoint and we will present it to the kids each day for them as they're filling out the guided notes that they're given. And then segmenting, breaking the content into smaller chunks. And again, we try to hit a certain amount of pages each day. We only try to hit about maybe 2 to 3 pages a day of notes. And then once that's done, we'll cut it off there, post that what we've done in class onto the Canvas site and for them to review. Pre-training, we'll teach the key terms before the lessons. I'm using narration with the visuals right now, and we'll also use narration with visuals for anything that we do for inside the class as well. We will also record videos and post them for students to go back and review. I combine the words and pictures. I'm using a conversational tone right now, even going through this presentation with you, and also when we post things to the Canvas page as well. I use my human voice instead of a machine. And the speaker image is not always necessary, so there's not always something that needs to be shown. So the application, so I highlighted the steps and the equations. I had a short video lessons. Again, those are helpful to a lot of our students. There was audio explanations that go into the visuals and everything that we do with the guided notes and the quizzes and the homework assignments and the study guides that we'll give before a test. And it's clean and focused slides from what I'm doing right now currently. The technology tools I used was the Canvas, which is the course organization, the instructional videos, which is the screencast of us going over the notes, the homework, and the study guides that we'll use, the quizzes website, and then the discussion boards for Padlet, which we all feel like will be very beneficial. Authentic learning was, real world problem solving with some of the notes that we have in there. We have student created equations where they can go in and use that from Padlet. There's interactive learning activities, and it also increases engagement and relevance between the material that we're teaching and with the student engagement. The UDL representation also went into the videos, the written notes, step-by-step examples, and multiple ways to access content. So like I've said, and I've shown you that there are about 4 or 5 different ways for us to present the material for all the kids to learn, for differentiated learning, and to just build a calm and easy learning environment for the students. Again, we have the quizzes, the written explanations, where they can create equations in the Padlet, and they also show multiple ways of learning. So the UDL engagement is just to build real-world connections, using the math to apply to problems that they'll face in everyday life. The students can choose, what to discuss in those discussion posts. And it's just to motivate the learners. The whole goal is to motivate them to feel confident in what they're doing and how they're solving the problems, and to understand that, hey, even though I might not be the strongest math student, if I can get this one thing done, I feel confident in my abilities to be a successful math student. Based on the student struggles with multimedia or the multi-step problems, we'll use the data from the quizzes and from the tests to drive any sort of areas that the students might be struggling in. We'll adjust it for clarity, and then if there's still students that are struggling with what we're doing, we'll add more supports and formats to the Canvas page. So I feel like the importance of it was just to have a clear structure with everything that we do. Make sure that the technology that we're using is, intentional and not anything that adds on to the stress of the students trying to learn the material. Designing for the diverse learners, so making sure that there's multiple ways for the students to obtain the knowledge through paper, through interactive quizzes, through discussion boards, through anything that might be helpful to them, and then growth in the instructional design skills. And that is all that I have for you. Thank you very much for listening and following along with my Canvas and everything that I've done. Hope you've enjoyed the presentation, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.